Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to speak about this topic. It's a topic of real interest. And organizations, there's been a real focus towards personalization over the past few years. And, quite often I get asked, why is suddenly personalization all the hype? Why is there so much of a focus towards it? Certainly, why this focus and why now? And the reason really that organizations are starting to focus on personalization actually is because your customer has changed. Whether it's a B2B customer or a B2C customer, ultimately the customer has evolved. And with this evolution, what we're seeing is that there's a new customer who is always on, always connected and informed, to the extent that they're typically 67% of the way through the buying life cycle before they even talk to you, the brand or a vendor. So this customer is really driving this buying process. Also, the customer is driving the buyer's journey, which is dynamic and is cross-channel. So this customer is moving through devices. They start on the mobile device, they move to the desktop. They go through the entire phase from awareness to purchase to retention through advocacy in a manner that's very dynamic, that we've never seen before. Earlier, as an organization, we used to just target this one website desktop screen, and that was it. And suddenly, with this proliferation of channels, what we're seeing is that engaging this customer has, completely changed. And finally, one of the most fundamental things why personalization is important is that your buyer has little attention. We're in a time now where there's information abundance and attention deficit. And in this time, unless you are sending information, offers, material to your buyer in a personalized manner, they will disengage. So if you're not sending something that's relevant, it has the exact opposite effect. So as your customer has changed, is always on, is on multiple devices, moving across the buying life cycle fairly quickly, and has very little attention toward information which is not relevant, organizations are left behind. What we're seeing is that generally due to lack of insight and skills as well as tools, marketers are struggling to engage customers and drive great experiences which are relevant. Generally, we see organizations are getting mature when it comes to specific channels. They have a great website, they might have mobile app, they may be doing email marketing, but they're generally their ability to coordinate across channels. So linking your email campaign with the website, with social media perhaps, with display, is generally a challenge because your technologies are not integrated, your channels aren't integrated. And the reason why you're not able to go across channels is that your measurement is really channel focused. You're unable to measure the single view of a customer across channels. And the reason why you're not able to measure, not able to drive experiences, because your technology is not integrated and it does not really enable marketers. So because the marketer's experience is broken, the customer experience is broken. And that's one of the reasons why, while personalization is important, everyone recognizes, delivering that is generally a challenge. And when marketers don't deliver great experiences, customers disengage. A recent survey indicated by Blue Star and Accenture indicated that 78% customers say they don't receive tailored experiences, and they went on to say that essentially they disengage when they don't receive targeted information. So this whole approach of spray and pray marketing and sending whatever you can out to the customer is having the opposite effect. You might as well not send them anything at all because you at least will completely disengage them. So personalization becomes so important if you're trying to get the right message to the right person at the right time. The benefits are across helping you acquire new customers, driving loyalty, driving retention. Variety of studies have confirmed that personalization can help you increase sales radically, and that could be B2B or B2C. Could be transactions on your websites, could be delivering new leads and opportunities, etc. And everyone generally recognizes that in the future, the ability to personalize experiences is probably one of the most important capabilities marketers can have to be successful. And I take it a step further. I think what we're seeing, there's limited personalization on the website, and email marketing and such, and it's generally segment oriented. So you have a certain type of a customer and you target them. But I think the future of personalization is truly one-to-one. What Peppers and Rogers framed as one-to-one marketing, that's where we generally need to get to. Is that where you can identify, target, and engage each individual customer, no matter where they are, no matter what device they're on, and no matter where they are in their buying journey. You're able to deliver an experience which is relevant and contextual. So let's take an example of a customer journey. I'm going to take a B2B example. This applies to B2C. The lines are getting blurred. A buyer of, say, a technology platform visits Google, searches for, relevant information around, say, a content management system. He's delivered a free download, which he can actually access, and actually he finds the information relevant and it's targeted. Suddenly that person becomes known. So you've turned an unknown visitor to a known visitor by giving him an offer. It could be on your website, could be on a landing page, etc. Person might read the content on their mobile device, and you can start to read that engagement. As an organization, you can start to deliver tailored information about why your product is so good through email. You could nurture them, set up meetings with sales and marketing, and essentially continue to engage with them and say, during the buyer's journey where this person is considering a product, you can deliver display media which is linked to where they are in their journey. So if they're early on in the journey, you could deliver display that says, well, here's a high-level offer if they didn't come to your website. Or if they're further on in the journey, they're about to make a decision, this could be a customer testimonial. And that's truly one-to-one. If a person's making a decision and you have the same offer that's given to them, well, that's not relevant to them at that point in time. So how do you understand where the customer is, what channel they're on, where they're in the buying journey, so you can ultimately drive engagement, and once they start to engage with you, they become a customer, they become advocates and start to post, great feedback on your product. So an example of how you've taken a prospect and in a one-to-one manner, you've delivered experiences which are relevant no matter where they are, and you've delivered content at the right point to allow them to make an informed decision and become a customer. So that all sounds great, and I get that a lot. Personalization makes perfect sense. I mean, it's just good marketing, right? But why don't organizations do it? Why aren't they successful doing it? So there's a variety of reasons why organizations struggle when it comes to personalization. One of the critical reasons is there's generally a lack of customer insight. Now, just having web analytics or email analytics, I get that organizations have that, but those specific data points don't give you a holistic view of what your customer wants or what their needs are. Because your customer will be on your website, will be on email, will be on social media, and they're leaving the digital footprint behind. Unless you can tie all those pieces together, you really don't know what their true interests are. So the siloed customer insight actually does not really help, because you can't build that whole picture, and it does not allow you to drive experiences which are relevant no matter where the customer is. There's just a lot of data now with social media and big data. There's just so much data, and what it's leading to in organizations generally is analysis paralysis. They're just trying to figure out, how do we deal with all this data? The data is not integrated. So one of the key issues that we see in organizations is that we're not able to build this comprehensive view of a customer, no matter if it's on the sales channel, the marketing channels, it could be any marketing channel. You don't have this one view that tells you what your customers want. So with that, you don't really know. If you don't know what your customers want, where they are in the buying journey, you can't deliver experiences which are relevant to them. So that's a huge issue, because your data is not integrated. Generally, there's a lack of skill sets. So personalization requires skill sets to use tools like A/B testing tools, multivariate testing, ability to deliver offers across platforms, the ability to read data. So personalization is not one skill set, it's actually multiple skill sets are needed, all the way from analyzing data, delivering experiences, testing, and generally there's a lack of skill sets within organizations. And it's very hard actually to keep evolving with the needs of the customer and their behavior. If you're somewhat manual, as most organizations are in delivering experiences, so you learn about a customer, then you set up a landing page. Well, unless it's really real-time and automated, you're missing out on where the customer is and at what point in the journey they require that information. It's already too late. So there's several challenges when it comes to personalization and being successful with this. So the question really becomes, how do you get there? How do you build a strategy that gets you there? Simply putting a personalization tool on your website or improving personalization on email is not going to get you there. Those are just simple tactics that need to come together so that they work in a symphony rather than just being like noise, where you're sending a ton of information and you're disengaging the customer. So you need a strategy, and there's three key elements. There's so many pieces to it, but I would categorize them in three key elements. You need to know your customer. Now I'll speak about how you can collect data, how you can segment them, how you can build a single view of the customer to deliver experiences which are relevant. So unless you truly know your customer down to an individual customer, not even at a segment level, you can't deliver one-to-one personalization. You need to deliver experiences that's across channels, devices, and it's fluid in the sense that no matter where the customer is, wherever they decide to consume information, you can deliver those experiences. And if your technology is not integrated, your data is not going to be integrated, and if your technology and data is not integrated, essentially you're not going to be able to deliver experiences because you won't have the tools to be successful. So I'm going to walk through these three areas at a high level. There's a lot more detail that each one of these areas could require. There could be series of webinars I could do potentially each topic, but I'll cover these at a high level. So let's start with knowing your customers. So your customer goes through a journey. They go through whether you look at the buyer's funnel, you look at their customer journey, but ultimately you need to understand who your customer is. You need to orchestrate experiences where they are in their buying journey. So if they're exploring information, if they're buying, if they're engaging with you, they're discovering, they're learning, perhaps they don't even have a need. So you need to think about what type of content and experiences you would deliver around the customer journey. But first, you need to understand what the customer journey is. And as you start to establish the customer journey, you need to start to capture context about that customer. And simply capturing context will help you become a better marketer. And the way you do that is first you need to understand as a marketer that who is your buyer? Do you really understand where they are, understand what segment they belong to? And each buyer needs to go through this segmentation process so you ultimately come down to one single buyer that you engage with. But you need the ability to understand who is buying from you. And then you need to capture data. The data that you capture can be of a variety of types. One is implicit information. When I go to your website, when I'm receive an email, when I'm engaging with you on social media, all I'm doing is I'm leaving a digital footprint behind. And I'm telling you something about myself, and that would help you build a whole storyline about who I am and what I want. And if you can bring all of this implicit information and link it with external information. So external information could be a variety of data. There's information you can capture around, what the person's profile is, who the person is looking to, who the person looks like. So you can start to build external information, and you can bring this data in. There's this whole notion of first, second, and third-party data that I'll touch on. They can start to build together. And then there's explicit information. So using strategies such as putting a registration form, a poll, etc., you're asking the customer, and then content marketing, in its simplest form is just that. You give something of importance to someone, and you get something in return. So if you give them a white paper or some offer, they will give you something in return, and that something would be information about themselves, their their area, if they're a B2B buyer, their designation as such, but essentially they're telling you something about them. So you start to build all of this together, and you can even start to look into social information using social login if that applies to you. So you start to bring this together, you try to build a single view of the customer. And it is one of the most important things you can do to deliver personalized one-to-one marketing. Channel-oriented personalization works, but if you can get a single view of the customer and link that to your website, email, social, and deliver experiences based on that single view, you will transform how you personalize experiences and how you engage with your clients. So as you collect this information, you start to ingest that information, you unify that information, and then you can use that to publish and then optimize. But bringing this information together requires a centralization exercise where, say you're bringing in first-party data from your own data with third-party data, which is data you buy, and you bring it all together and you link it together. You need to centralize it somewhere. And as you start to centralize that data, you can start to use various tactics to, again, bring in data through things like progressive profiling, where someone goes to your website and you keep asking them questions. And it's like a trivia to find out who they are. So as you build a single view of the customer, you can start to get a single profile of the customer. And that's really cool. So you can know at a personal level an individual who, how many emails have they received? What have they opened? What are their interests? What kind of a score are you giving them? So there's a variety of tools out there who do that. Oracle does it with Eloqua. There's a variety of profiling tools. Sitecore has its own tool. But it's not really about the tool. It's about having the strategy to figure out where are you going to bring this data and how are you going to create this single profile, a single view of this customer that you can activate towards your marketing efforts. And this activation, once you build a single view, is important because you can have a single view, you can bring all the data, but you can't link it to marketing programs. It doesn't do you any good. Or if it's not real time, it doesn't do you any good because it's already too late. Someone's already made a purchase somewhere else, or they're through the buying life cycle by the time you deliver a message. So activation means that your profile is linked with your technologies such as campaign marketing, your CMS, your data management platform, which quite often can even house the profile. So these tools need to be integrated with your single view of the customer. And once you start to link the history of the individual, their information, with your program, you start to truly deliver experiences which can be one-to-one. However, if you're just working on a per-channel basis, you're not going to know what the single view of the customer is, and you're going to be essentially dealing with vanity metrics such as did this person open the email or not, and well, that's well and good, but did it drive engagement or did it drive conversion? You won't really know if that happens on the website, for example. So knowing your customers about collecting data, having a strategy to bring it in one centralized location, build that single view of the customer, and then have it ready for activation. So once your data is ready for activation, or your profile is ready for activation, you can actually start to execute multi-channel engagement. And think about the journey of the customer. How do you attract those customers? How do you convert them, whether it's a lead or a transactional site? And then how do you build a relationship or nurture that customer? And quite often the customer is coming to your website, and most organizations, they may be doing email marketing that's personalized or display marketing that's personalized, but the website, which is one of their biggest assets, is generally static. You go to the website, it's like going there with a shovel trying to find information, and most customers get frustrated because they expect the website. If you're delivering personalized emails to your customers, why would you not personalize the website when they arrive there? And various organizations have started to work on, in different industries, have started to work around personalizing the site. And they do a variety of things. They look at on-site behavior and use that to personalize, depending on where you're coming from in terms of your channel. You can personalize behavior based on that, based on geography. A lot of organizations deliver a localized site, for example, depending on where the individual is from. If they're in country outside the United States, they would get a local site for that region, etc. So you can start to think about looking at your anonymous visitors across 3 key areas. So there's location. So where am I coming from? Device. If you deliver an experience which is not mobile oriented on a mobile device, whether it's responsive, etc., you're going to disengage the customer, needs to be personalized. Then you can start to look at what the customer is looking for when they come to you. And you can tie this up with the data that you're getting from, say, third party on your own website to build this view of the customer. You can start to look at different channels for anonymous visitors. So you can start to look at, well, you know what, organic search, email, paid search, direct traffic. Where is this person coming from? What is the search term that they're coming onto your site? That reveals a lot. And based on that, you can personalize the experience. Having the right multi-device experience is very important because customers won't recommend you if you don't offer the right experience on the right device. That's just table stakes now. You can also look at where the individual is in the buying life cycle. So if I am about to buy a product, I would be delivered a certain offer versus if I am about to, if I've already bought the product and I am about to, you could deliver something which is perhaps as a value add or something that drives loyalty and retention. So you can look at where I'm in the buying life cycle and drive that personalization. And personalization can also be driven by behaviors. For example, if someone comes to your website, they're on a particular section, they start to engage with that section, they start to tell you that they're interested in certain type of content. So the next time they come back, you could deliver information right on your navigation or your banner to speak to that product that they're interested in and perhaps get them to register or perhaps get them to take action. So looking at their behavior and the footprint they leave behind, you could start to do things like knowing that it's an existing customer, so you can deliver a login as opposed to a prospect who gets an offer. So this is based on the context that you have on that customer. So as soon as you convert someone into a lead or someone who develops interest in your product, the next step really is to nurture them because most leads, most people are not ready to buy when they come to you. They're just getting informed. And you need to engage in this one-to-one dialogue, and that's where email marketing and display marketing linked with email starts to take over. So if you know who this buyer is, they've given you some information by downloading something on your site, you can start to then orchestrate these multi-channel email campaigns linked to display, which are truly one-to-one. You can address that individual, you can speak to their needs, and you can really focus in on what they want as opposed to sending them generic information. So marketing automation is critical to drive personalization, and most organizations feel that it has a direct impact on their pipeline to use marketing automation. And segmentation, the ability to personalize, is one of the most important features that marketers look for. So as you're trying to personalize experiences, what you're actually ultimately delivering is some form of content. And content is critical because that is what creates engagement. That's what people ultimately want. We're delivering personalized content to them to take action. So understanding who your buyer is and creating content along the buying life cycle. So understanding who your buyers are, what segments they belong to, taking content and essentially mapping it out across your buying life cycle and then implementing it in your platform will get you to a point where your content can be delivered no matter where the buyer is. And this notion of create once and publish everywhere then starts to take over, where you can create content in your content management system, you can deliver it to your website, you can deliver it to Facebook, to Twitter, and you can do it in a manner that from one location you can push out that content. So you're not very linked to the, you're not tied to a channel, but what you're really doing is you're tying your content to the customer journey. So wherever the customer decides to consume your content, the content should be available. And this notion of create once and publish everywhere is quite important when it comes to that notion. So as you start to deliver content across the right channels, then you need to essentially test and optimize. A/B testing and multivariate testing are used, but more often than not, organizations start with basic A/B testing. They start to analyze the customer journey. They start to assess segmentation analysis as such. But essentially, there's various testing techniques that start to apply that drive conversion. And these testing techniques, essentially what they're doing is getting the right message to the right person at the right time. And it's just a variety of tests to get to a point where you know the offer is sticking with that particular segment or individual. And you can start to consider a variety of techniques and methods, if you will, from A/B testing to multivariate testing to customer journey analysis, which is becoming quite popular, usability testing as well. Essentially, a variety of testing techniques that can drive engagement and conversion. So if you've understood who your customer is, you're trying to engage across channels, you need the technology to make that happen. And you need this integrated technology to orchestrate these individual experiences no matter where the customer is. What I mean by that is, and here's just an illustration, you could have a variety of technologies in your ecosystem, but they really need to be integrated into what we call as a customer experience platform. So your CMS might be running a website, marketing automation might be running campaigns, analytics might be giving insights, CRM might house customer data. But unless they're connected, you're not going to be able to orchestrate these individual experiences no matter where the customer is. If your technologies are integrated, you're essentially going to get data which is integrated, so you're able to get to that single profile of a customer that I spoke about a little while back. And through that profile, you can get the insight and then ultimately orchestrate these experiences. So bringing technology, data together, you get this profile of a customer, and you can essentially optimize experiences no matter where the customer is. And that's when you start to really get to one-to-one marketing. So as you think about technologies, there's just a variety of technologies that you can consider. Organizations, a lot of the focus is on site optimization tools. There's a lot of focus towards using CMSs that can drive personalization. Email and marketing automation is another area of focus. But essentially, there's a variety of tools out there that can help you with personalization. So you need to understand what tools do you need to build out that customer experience platform that can drive personalization for you as an organization. So as we think about these different technologies, I'll just run through a few. Data management platforms, this is generally a new area that's really come up in the last few years. And organizations, what they're really trying to do is use these DMPs to link first, third-party, and potentially even second-party data. So essentially your own data, which is first-party, third-party, which is external data. So a buyer might have data. There might be data providers who have information on that particular buyer. So bringing that data in and linking it into this platform through which you can deliver, display, and even link it to your email marketing campaigns or even your website campaigns. So DMP allows you to bring in external data. Most organizations use it when there's external data that they want to bring in. Marketing automation allows you to deliver real-time personalized communication. And we're seeing now that organizations are starting to get mature with marketing automation, email automation, but they're now starting to link it with DMP. So if you send out an email, you can link that to a display ad that the individual would see if they're once they receive the email and they're on the internet checking out stuff. And all of this obviously has to come into analytics off of a single view of the customer. So if your analytics tool allows you to, against a single profile of a customer, provide you insights at a segment level, at an individual level, and no matter how you decide to slice that data, it's critical for you to get the insight to drive personalized communication. CRMs obviously house the customer data. They house your existing customer data. What organizations are starting to do is linking CRMs with DMPs. So if you've got an email in your CRM, you can link a display ad through to customers or potentially to even prospects. So there's a lot of integration brings a lot of possibilities, just so many permutations and combinations of what you can do with this stuff. But the other systems as well, tag management. So if you've got multiple sites, you need a TMS to bring data to a central location. You need a website optimization tool. So many CMSs are building these tools, but you can also go and procure a separate tool for optimization on your site. You can get tools to profile a customer in that single view of the customer separately if you don't have a technology that does that. So what we're seeing is this focus towards tools is there, but they should not exist in silos. They really need to come together in that single view of the customer experience platform so that you can orchestrate experiences across channels. If your technology is not integrated, it's typically a struggle to orchestrate experiences in a one-to-one manner across channels. So that's one of the reasons why it's difficult, because organizations need a plan. Quite often, if a website is being created, organizations focus just on that channel, or they're setting up a marketing automation platform, they focus on that channel. But there isn't a holistic view of towards a point of arrival where these systems would be integrated, the data would flow between these systems, they would house customer data in a central location where they can start to get the single view of the customer. So if organizations start to build a plan towards, one, knowing who their customers are, two, have a strategy to engage with customers across any channels and devices in an orchestrated manner where it's all synchronized as opposed to the website not being connected to email or social, and have the technology to actually deliver those multi-channel experiences through the CMS, marketing automation platforms, data management platforms, CRMs, etc. That is how organizations at a high level at least can start to build this roadmap towards personalization, not just at a segmented level, but truly to a one-to-one level. And that has a fundamental change, that drives a fundamental change towards customer acquisition and then retention as well. So that summarizes, or that covers the webinar. I'll open it up to questions at this point.
Thank you so much for that insight, Rahul. It looks like we have a few questions. The first one is, what are the best practices to drive personalization on a website?
That's a great point. I think website personalization has become a focus now. I've seen organizations use marketing automation to drive email marketing, and I've seen a lot of success there. So now the focus has shifted towards on-site personalization, because that's where a lot of your anonymous visitors are coming, and you need to convert them to either customers or leads. So in terms of technologies, organizations typically will start, will invest in a content management system, and these content management systems have really evolved into customer experience platforms. And what I mean by that is they can truly help you deliver personalized experiences, and they have technologies such as A/B testing tools, etc. built in. Or if your CMS does not provide you that capability, you can go and buy tools who just focus on site optimization. So tools is one aspect, but the way the site is structured and set up, and your strategy on how content is delivered in a personalized way is important, because your site, if it's set up like a static site and all you're doing is changing the banner, well, that personalization is good, but it won't give you the results you truly are looking for. So if you think about the pages on your website, part of them can be static, but then part of the experience can be driven through the context of the customers. So, for example, if I'm on a particular page, some of the site content could be static, but then some of the banner, the right trail could be all driven through my context of who I am, where I am in the buying life cycle, what my interests are, and the information that you want to deliver to me. So it's part technology, but then it's also part strategy and creating the right experience that wraps around the customer journey.
There's another question. How can you use a DMP for personalization?
Yeah, DMPs can be used to bring in all your data. So your data in your CRM, your data on your site can be connected with third-party data, so data that you buy, and all of that can be integrated into your DMP, and quite often that gets used to drive display campaigns. Now, you may be using a DMP even if you don't know it. So if you're using retargeting technology or display technology behind it, typically they would have some kind of a DMP. So organizations which are larger, they invest in DMPs. Mid-sized and smaller organizations can just work with technologies that manage that for them and essentially drive, personalized experiences such as retargeting off of their site. Any other questions?
Okay. There's another question. Yeah. How does CMS, CRM, analytics, and marketing automation integration drive personalization?
Yeah, what they allow you to do is to capture a common context of the customer. So say if you have someone on your website, they're leaving a digital footprint behind, they're giving you explicit information by downloading content and filling out registration forms. They're really telling you about their behavior. And you can use that behavior to target that individual through email, but you need that integration between your site and email and marketing automation. So your site will be driven through CMS, your email marketing automation could be driven through an email marketing automation technology, and your CRM could house customer data. So, customer journey could be someone comes to your website who's an existing customer. You can look that person up based on the cookie that you have or the IP, and you can look that person up in your CRM and bring information into the CMS about who that individual is and what their interests are. And then you can use that information to personalize the experience based on industry, based on the person's title, based on their geography and such. You can personalize to whatever extent is relevant to your business. And then that engagement can be all stored centrally so that next time when you actually run a campaign, that campaign can just automatically be triggered off of that profile. So if that person discloses what they're interested in on your website, that can be captured centrally, and that profile gets richer. And then when you run an email campaign, it can be linked with that profile. So bringing these technologies together, what it does is that it brings essentially the customer context together in a central place. And once you have the customer context, and whether it's an integrated database, a customer profile, a single view of the customer, once you have the customer context, you can run campaigns or drive experiences on your site through that common context. Any further questions?
Yeah, one more. Is behavioral targeting a feature of most content management systems, or does it have to be custom coded typically?
That's a great question, actually. So we're seeing the shift, as I alluded earlier, from pure content management to customer experience management. So what you should expect out of a modern, whether you call it a customer content management system or a customer experience management system, the terminology is changing, but what you should expect is the ability to capture customer insight, the ability to use that insight to drive experiences through automation. So if someone comes to the site, we could have a rule that if this person is in such and such industry, deliver a certain type of offer. Or if this person clicks on a particular product and they're spending a lot of time on that product and the features, perhaps deliver some content that can help them make an informed decision about buying that product. So depending on the digital footprint, these CMSs should be able to track who the customer is. They should be able to track their behavior. They should be able to then give you the tools and to write rules to ultimately deliver experiences. And they should have pre-integrated testing tools as well. So several CMSs are now building these capabilities. As an example, a Sitecore has these things built in, and Adobe is going down the route of actually buying out technologies that have all these pieces. So within the suite, you would have these capabilities. So there are different approaches organizations are taking, but essentially what they want you to do through whatever philosophy they're applying, whether it's building within their systems or buying different platforms, is essentially the ability to orchestrate experiences against a single view of the customer, no matter where the customer is, on the website, email, social. So you don't have to go to multiple tools, try to bring in your data yourself, etc. So whether the CMS has it or not, but you should certainly think about picking a solution, whether it's the CMS by itself or multiple platforms that come together that allow you to deliver personalized experiences on your site. Any further questions?
There are a few more questions, but we'll have to take them a little later. Thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to connecting with you again. The recording for today's webinar will be available on our website within 3 business days. We'll also be sharing the webcast URL with the attendees via email. Please feel free to reach out to us at contact@edynamic.net with any other questions you have. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Bye now.